What is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with the Legendary Horseman update video here for 2024. Now that we actually see these milestones and rankings in the game now, we can actually preview to see how this looks. So it's looking pretty consistent in what we've seen in the past events, guys. The only difference is that now there is no longer going to be a leaderboard aspect where you can get additional shard fragments depending on where you rank. It's just going to be a cumulative milestone. So if you guys recall, I made a video on this yesterday, but I just want to quickly recap for you. This is going to be the new outlined Horsemen Scourge events that are going to be essentially coming out on an ongoing basis. This is going to be reoccurring every 2 weeks. All 4 Horsemen Scourges are going to become live in the Epic Campaigns section of the game. And the only difference now is the rank leaderboards is gone, but as well, it's going to feature all these character shards for specific Horsemen and red stars at those X levels of scoring that you have to do. And I think the big question that we are all wondering was, how many shards are you getting per the Scourge score? And we finally have that detail actually being able to preview in the game. So if you are a player that does not have these characters at 7 yellow stars, you actually will be able to now go ahead and preview it. So this is the screenshot of what it looks like right now. This is an example here for Morgan Le Fay. So you can see each of the milestones laid out, going from milestone 1 to milestone 9. In order to hit all of the milestones, you need to hit and score 1.35 million, which is essentially going to give you the full 7 stars here of, for in this case, Morgan Le Fay. So you can see milestone 2 is going to grant you 3 stars, giving you the 100 shards. At milestone 4, getting 900,000 points is going to get you the 4-star. 950 is pretty close. It actually gets you the 5 stars right there. So I think that's a nice medium to aim for if you guys do not want to be pursuing this beyond 5 stars. And then otherwise, some notable increases here for milestone 7 at the 6 stars, 1.15 million, and then finally wrapping things up at milestone 9, which means you do have to hit every single milestone on this to actually get the 7 yellow stars on the featured legendary horseman character. These events are, I believe, ongoing for 5 or 6 days every 2 weeks, so it's going to be a repetitive pattern now. So now we know with certainty that this is basically a pseudo permanent event in the game that runs every couple weeks. So guys, I want to take this time to go back to all of the video guides I've done, all the Scourges, because I don't believe the difficulty has changed. And then I will, if it has, I will make an update video on this, but I need to test this out once it goes live just to see how the difficulty is. But I don't believe it has actually changed or deviated from the original Scourge. It kind of makes sense because they just want to make sure that things are kind of consistent. But the one thing to note is that when I went back, I did see a consistent pattern with the team levels I built and how high I was able to rank. So in today's video, guys, we got some nice gear level previews for you. If you're wondering how high you need to build your characters and team levels in order to hit the 1.35 million. And remember, this is only if you're going for the 7 yellow stars. If you don't even care about that, it's going to be much easier, guys. So I went back to all the Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, Red Hulk, as well as Archangel videos that I've done, and I do have this populated now. So you can see here the Pestilent Scourge that I did. The best run I ever landed was very, very close, guys, 1.35 million, and it did take about a 730k team in my Web Warriors. This consisted of 2 characters at gear tier 16 and 3 at gear tier 15. Now keep in mind, at the time, I did not mind investing in this team because of the fact that they were also utilized for the bio nodes at the time for the Doom raids, right? Now, obviously, they've fallen off. They're no longer in the meta. So use this with a grain of salt on how high you want to build this team because of the fact that they're no longer in the meta. Could there be a rework in the future sometime? Perhaps. Maybe the next Spider-Verse movie that comes out with Miles Morales. But otherwise, 730 to 800k team should be able to get the full score if you want the full 7 yellow stars from Morgan Le Fay. Moving on to the Famine Scourge here featuring Rogue. This one was a little bit higher, but it was definitely more mechanically driven because the Young Avengers was just synergizing much better than A-Force. Even though A-Force now is Photon, I still don't believe they're going to outperform the synergy of the Young Avengers. So very similar to Web Warriors, as you can see here. The Young Avengers team is almost 800k. Consisting of 3 characters at gear tier 16, hence the little slight increase here over my Web Warriors, and 2 gear tier 15 characters. They were able to full clear and score the full 1.5 million at difficulty 8. So both these teams, ideally, hopefully giving you guys a sense of how high you need to build your teams in order to hit those difficulty levels. Now, keep in mind, if you guys recall, a great content creator and Dorky Dad, he's made a few videos here and there on how you can actually unlock these legendary horseman characters without having to do the entire Scourge, and that's simply ramping up the difficulty and actually just doing the first 3-4 nodes of that. So that way you don't need to be building web warriors, you don't need to be building young Avengers. You can essentially focus on those first 4 nodes and try to maximize as much points as possible, and you can likely get a 4 or 5 yellow, 6 yellow stars of that character in that manner if you do not want to put any investment into them. I think that's an alternative plan as well. So just something to be mindful of. There's different ways to attack this. I also wanted to wrap things up here with the War and Death Scourge as well, so that way you guys can get a full conclusive picture. Now, with the War Scourge here unlocking Red Hulk, you can see very similar kind of format. 2 gear tier 16 characters and then 3 at gear tier 15. Total team power being around, again, roughly that 800k mark. This team was able to fully clear difficulty 8, scoring 2.7 million points, guys. So what this tells us right here is that the War Scourge is likely going to be the easiest Scourge out of all of them. This is a huge amount of points, and keep in mind, this was before the introduction of Bifrost, so characters like Val, Beta Ray Bill, they're going to absolutely blow past the Scourge now because they're officially in the game. So the good news is that you likely won't have an issue getting the 7 yellow stars on Red Hulk. His Scourge is by far the easiest, and we have access to some of the best characters, especially Val and Beta Ray Bill, who also have value in the end game right now for incursion rates. So last but not least, Death Scourge featuring Archangel. So this is I think this is going to be the one that's kind of throw a lot of folks kind of, you know, in the controversial column here in terms of whether or not you want to be bringing up these characters, because it features both Wakandans and Bionic Avengers. At the time, Bionic Avengers was actually the go-to meta team for tech nodes, specifically in Doom and the transition to incursion, so I had no issues bringing up some of these characters, right? But you can see, again, similar format, 3 gear tier 16 characters, 2 at gear tier 15. I used the makeshift combination here of Shuri, just so that way she could provide some protection, some defense up. This team power was close to 800k as well, similar to the other ones we've seen, and they were able to also fully clear at 1.7 million score. So there you guys have it. You can see the consistent patterns. If you're building at least half the team to gear tier 16 and 15, you're going to be able to land the full 7 yellow stars unlocked here. And guys, just for ease of reference too, I'm going to make sure I link all my videos in the description below so you can see how I was able to do this in each of the videos, as well as some gameplay footage for some of the harder nodes. But I think now it's going to be the agency back to you as the player, you know, especially if you're watching this and you're a new player or mid-game and you're deciding whether or not you want to build these teams. Remember, this is not the only way to go about these nodes. These are just some of the bottlenecks that we're seeing when we have to go through and fully clear some of these higher difficulty settings for that Scourge score. So key reminders, guys, key reminders. I always like to give this as a takeaway, so that way you guys can get this as a sort of reference. But remember, the Horseman characters do not need to be max yellow stars to unlock Apocalypse. I would say if you have a comfortable 5-star across the board with your Horseman teams, they're going to be able to get the job done. You know, the 6 and 7 is really luxury to boost them higher, and most of them aren't even a top 5 team in the game anymore, so you wouldn't be missing out too much. But obviously, the higher the yellow stars, the more powerful the character, right? That goes without saying. I gave a shout out earlier as well. Dorky Dad's video, guys. He's made several videos on how you can actually unlock these Horseman characters by just going through the first 4 nodes, so not building up the required team in that Scourge, and still able to hit the high score. But you have to ramp it up quite a bit. You likely will need some pretty beefy characters, but it gets the job done without having to overinvest in a team or characters that are no longer in the meta. So just something to be mindful of. From what we can see, gear tier 15 and 16 seem to be the go-to for full clearing difficulty 8, still difficulty 7 to difficulty 8. Investment into gear tier 13 and 15 will likely net you the 5 to 6 stars. So that way, if you just want to min-max and just do the best you can, I think a 5 to 6 stars is still very solid. If you're not too crazy about obviously maximizing every single shard you can and fully leveling to 7 yellow stars. And lastly, guys, remember, this event runs every 2 weeks. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Even when you do this, you know, don't put pressure on yourself to get this done ASAP, because following this, recall, you still need 23 other characters involved, including the Horsemen, to actually unlock Apocalypse anyways, including, the ISO 8 Blue, bring him to set gear tier levels, and obviously those certain set levels for the requirements. So there's still a lot to go through if you guys are a new player mid-game to go through. This is just the beginning in terms of the Scourges unlocking these Horsemen. So, relax, guys. Take your time with it. It is definitely not the ideal update in terms of just getting this information, but I think it's great that now this game mode is cemented, and there's an opportunity now to unlock these Horsemen at will, if you will. And as well, now we have a source of truth in terms of seeing how high you could previously do before. So hopefully this gives you guys some insight in terms of where to stop leveling if you are planning to build up some of these teams. Otherwise, stay tuned. We'll definitely keep an eye out for any kind of alternative strategy to boost these points if we don't need to invest in these teams. But this is what worked before, ideally, and I'll have my links and guides below if you guys wanted to follow this for reference once this event goes live. Thank you as always. Do appreciate hearing back from you. Let me know what you think in comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.